Hi friends, thanks for joining me. We are celebrating Monique Lowe's 40th birthday with a YouTube hop. And those of you who don't know Monique, she does beautiful layouts with loads of colour and rainbows and so on. So definitely wanted to be part of this. I am creating a summer layout and I've got some bits and pieces from Bramble Fox, of course, and I've also cut out some of these shapes using Paige Evans cut files. In fact, it was one cut file which was a wreath, and I've just cut apart the shells and things. And I've got it in my mind to create a bucket, as you can see there, which I've just hand cut. So a simple shape. And I'm going to have the shells and so on poking out the top of the bucket. And it's a layout about my daughter as we were on the beach one time in Devon. And we spent hours building sandcastles and so on. So sadly those days have gone, but it's really nice to be able to scrap them again. So that's more or less what I'm aiming for. So those things poking out the bucket and my photos on top of the bucket. I think in my final, when I've done the layout finally, I think I probably covered up most of the bucket. So I hope it's still obvious as a bucket at the end. So just to make it a little bit more 3D, I'm just going to ink those edges, just to give it a bit of darker edge around the sides as it would fall in shadow on a bucket. And I've just used some plain cardstock here, and as I say, I've just cut out a shape. I think I drew the shape in Word or something and then just cut around it on the back. And I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow cardstock at the bottom here. And I'm just going to use my tearing ruler from Bramble Fox. I think lots of people have asked for these to come back in, so we will try and get those back in the shop this month or next month. I keep saying that. And then we end up making loads of other things, so it will get back in there. And I'm just going to gut out the cardstock at the back because I love this colour, mint, which is obviously my favourite colour ever. And I don't have too much of it left, so it's always useful to save the paper when you can. And I've just used some white cardstock on the top and used a border punch just to give it a decorative edge. I'm kind of liking this thing at the moment where I'm making my layout onto cardstock and then mounting that onto other colour cardstock or pattern paper. It just seems to give it that extra oomph, which I'm really enjoying. I don't know how long this phase will last. It probably lasts a little while and then so all my layouts will be the same. So my apologies that it slipped off the bottom of the frame there. I think I do move it up in a little bit, but I'm annoying because I'm sure when I've set my camera up and I can see, yep, it's all in frame, and then I don't know if it slips or something, or I just don't realise it's off frame. But you don't miss much, to be honest. So off camera, I just backed up the cut files. I mean, they were quite simple shapes, so it wasn't too difficult. So all I did was stick it onto pattern paper. And the pattern papers I used for the seashells was a by Echo Park Endless Summer. Oh, which happens to be the title that I'm going to be using for Bramble Fox as well, which is handy. So the Endless Summer title will be in the July Fox box. So I'm a bit of ahead of the curve here because I'm actually going to launch the July Fox box at the beginning of June, and this will go live slightly before then, so you're getting a bit of a sneak peek really. But I will do the reveal in a few days anyway. So as you can see there, I'm just making the handle for the bucket, and I used my trusty bendy ruler, which is I think it's from a drawing supply shop, so you could get that at WH Smith's here in the UK. I think that's where mine came from, but this is just a drawing ruler. And I'm just going to stick the handle down, so it's just a really simple shape. I've bent it over the end just as it wraps around the back of the bucket, just to give it a little bit more realistic. And then I've added a enamel dot, that's the word, to the top there, just to keep the handle in place. So very simple. And I'm just going to lay down a bit of colour on the background now, and rather than use a stencil, which I probably would have done normally, I'm just going to lay some soft colour down because most of it will be covered up anyway. And then I find at the end I probably didn't lay enough colour down, so I will be adding a bit more later on, as you'll see in a mo. So it was really quite simple. And for once it actually came out how I planned, so that was always a bonus. Although I do forget which arrangement I have for the shells, and can never decide which way around to go. So if you find that. So there's a bunch of girls taking part in the YouTube hop, so I hope you will pop in and say hello to all of them, watch the awesome videos and subscribe to each of the channels. You can see those in the comments below, so I'll leave all the links in the comments. So it's really going to be easy just to pop over and subscribe. I've never taken part in one of these things before, so it's kind of a first for me. And I hope you like it. So if you're first time here, I hope you like the video, and you will give me a thumbs up and subscribe to me too. That'll be really nice. So I'm just getting down to the point of sticking down. Hurrah! If you haven't been here before, you may know I'm the world's slowest scrapper, so to get to this point is pretty good for me. And because I'd popped my bucket up on foam tape, I had to pop the one photo just to raise that up as well. And I'm just going to embellish with some stickers and some bits and pieces. I was going to pop in some Bramble Fox perspectives. We've got some lovely and really cute little crabs and fish and so on, but I realised I hadn't got any here. They were down in the office, and I needed to finish the video, so sadly I couldn't actually use any perspectives that I wanted to either. But if you pop onto the Bramble Fox website, you'll see what I mean, and those are just really pretty for your summer layouts. It's a bit of a rum show, isn't it, really, when you don't have perspectives to use on your own layouts. I had used a lot before, and I say they all went back to the office, and so I ended up with none here. So I'm just going to finish off. I'm just going to put the anchor there on the left on foam tape, and I'm just going to use a few bits and pieces to cluster around the second photo. It's all very straightforward, really. So I'm just going to pop that there. I'm not the world's biggest fan of electronic cutting. It's always a bit of a faff, isn't it, to get the machine out, get the thing going, and then it doesn't work, and my blade's always blunt. But when I finally get it all sorted, and I love it actually, so maybe I shall have a little run of doing some cut files. I love these cut files by Paige. I have to say they are some of my favourites. She has a really clever way of, creating designs that aren't, they're fussy, but quite easy to cut around. Absolutely love this file. As I say, it's actually a wreath, which I just cut apart. So I might actually use it as a wreath next time. And that is going to be more or less it. I'm going to add a few little more embellishments. And for those of you, by the way, who haven't used perspectives before by Bramble Fox, they are acrylic pieces. And of course, my layouts don't feel complete without them. But you can just stick them down with glossy accents. I use Beacon's 3-in-1 glue just because it's quite economical, although rather messy. So that's really the kind of the most common question, I think, is how do we stick them down? So anything that will stick plastic will probably stick acrylic down equally as well. So I've just finished adding a little bit of detail to the edges there, just to finish things off. And because I wanted a bit more colour, and it's something I'm doing more commonly at the moment, is I'm going to add a darker colour behind my elements, as if it were a shadow, and just to help it pop off the page a little bit. So I'm using one of my favourite colours from Shimmers called Oaky Bear Blue. I find it just a really easy colour to work with. It is, I think it is technically called a creamies. Don't quote me on that. But I just find it's a really good colour. It goes with most of the things that I work with. It's just a really good way to add that detail behind. So as you can see there, and I've just put a little bit behind my elements, it just helps them pop a little bit more without being overpowering. So the secret is really just to water down the colour, use a nice broad round brush, and then start light and build up the colour if you want to make it really easy. So that about wraps it up. I added an acrylic anchor there at the bottom, and as I say, that is from the July Fox box, which will be shipping the 3rd of July. So you can go and check out those details on Bramble Fox website. And thank you so much, Monique, for having me on your YouTube hop. I hope you really enjoy this video, and don't forget to check out all the other YouTubers in the links below. Thanks so much now. Take care. Bye now.